I wasn't sure what to make today, so I went down to a local butcher shop, had a look around, and I saw something that caught my eye. So today I'm going to be smoking some boneless beef short ribs. Boneless beef short ribs. Sometimes they're called boneless beef chuck ribs, things like that. If you can find these at your butcher, at your local big box store, I know Costco sometimes sells these in big cryovac packs, get them. Take a look at these and the marbling in these. These are going to be some tasty ribs. Today I'm going to be rubbing these with Desert Gold seasoning, which is distributed by Big Papa Smokers. Never used it before, just got it yesterday for an early birthday present. And tastes really good. So I think it's going to work well with these short ribs. Let's get these seasoned up. You can see why they call it Desert Gold. Let's look at that color on here. So again, you'll notice I'm not using a binder. Why? I don't use binders generally. Just personal choice. There's a lot of surface area on these boneless short ribs. You got to make sure you get the sides. And get those ends too. Don't forget the ends. We're going to let these ribs sit for about 15-20 minutes just to absorb a little bit of the flavor from this rub. In that time, our kettle's going to be coming up to temperature. We're going to be doing this on the Weber Kettle today, so I'll see you when I head out there. All right, so I have the Weber Kettle set up for indirect, briquette basket on one side. We'll be monitoring the temperature as we go along today. I want to keep it somewhere around the 250 range. If it drops to 225, that's okay. Really don't want it to go above 275, so I'm shooting for that 250 range. So let's get our boneless short ribs on here. Temperature probe in our largest rib here. All right, so that probe's in there. We're going to be taking these short ribs to somewhere between 190 and 200, maybe even a little higher. Just really depends on tenderness. Remember, this is about tenderness. That temperature range is sort of the guide telling us we're probably getting close to tender. So once they probe tender, that's when they're done. We're going to be doing this in a 3-2-1 method. We're going to be going 3 hours naked on the grill with smoke. Then we're going to take it, wrap it with a little bit of moisture in there. And then we're going to go back open. We might glaze it a little bit at the end. I haven't decided yet, but probably will. I like a little glaze at the end there for that last hour. And that should get us to about the tenderness stage, that sort of 5-6 hour mark. So we'll see. We'll play around with the numbers depending on how tender the meat is probing as we go along. But now let's get our wood on here. Today I'm going to be smoking with post oak. I'm going to start with a couple chunks here. Let that get going. Also shake a little bit of ash off. Also going to add a couple more briquettes here. All right, the wood is ignited. I always like to let it burn for a minute or so before I put the lid on, so we can start smoking. So my top vent for right now is staying fully open. My bottom vent, I'm going to set to 2/3 open. So with that at 2/3, upper vent fully open, we'll watch the temperatures, see if we can stabilize it around 250. Got good smoke rolling from that post oak. We're going to watch our temperature, see how we're doing. Okay, so our temperature of the kettle is 280, a little high. So I choked these upper vents down just a little bit, and if I need to, I'll choke them down a little bit more. I don't go too far down on these upper ones. I can always adjust the bottom down a little bit more. Can already see it's starting to drop down from 280. All right, we're moving in the right direction. It's good. 276. Our internal meat temperature is 63. That's fine. It was sitting out for about 20 minutes coming up, and these aren't, super thick pieces of meat all the way around. You've got about a ½ an inch on each one into the center, maybe a little bit more than that. So it does tend to come up to temperature a little quicker, but it is going to take time to break down that fat in there and get tender. So we're going to give it time. I'll bring you back when it's time to spritz these in about an hour. All right, we're about an hour into this cook, 242 in the kettle temperature, about 126 internal meat temperature, and it's time to spritz these ribs. Those are looking good, getting some nice color already. All right, so this mixture is a 5-to-1 mixture of apple cider, non-alcoholic, and apple cider vinegar. Just want to give these some moisture. And we're not going to turn these. The bottom side isn't going to get any. That's all right. That's good. A little while ago, I added another piece of that post oak. You can see it's igniting again. That'll smother down to smoke as soon as we get the lid on. But we're looking good here. Keep smoking. Good smoke coming out of the Weber Kettle. Smells great. That mix of that post oak and the beef. Bring it back when it's time to check these again. All right, we're 2 hours in. Our kettle temp's around 270. I want to bring that down a bit, so I'll be adjusting some vents. Meat temperature's 148. Time to spritz. Oh, let's get this out of the sun a little bit here. Those are looking really good. Nice color. Our chunk of post oak is ignited, so let's get this lid back on and keep it going. Kettle temp's about 268. Meat temp 149. 269. So I'm going to adjust the bottom vent just a little bit. Had a nice burst of air when we had the lid off, so it's going to burn a little hotter for a few minutes. Okay, so we are at 268 after adjusting those vents. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Bring you back. I think the next time is when we're going to be wrapping these or putting them in a foil pan. Good smoke from that post oak still. All right, we are 3 hours in. Our internal meat temperature is 153. Kettle temperature is 226. See that? A little bit of a bark there. Looking good. Not much, but a little bit. I'm more concerned with keeping these moist than developing a really hard bark. All right, we're gonna get these into a foil pan. I'm gonna add some Worcestershire sauce to these. This pan, some water. It's maybe about half a cup of water. And then I'm gonna spray with more of that apple cider vinegar mixture. Cover this with foil. Gonna double wrap it. And get this back on the kettle. I've removed the internal temperature probe. We're not going to be using that anymore. We're probably going to go about an hour and a half to 2 hours with this covered. We'll check it probably at that hour and a half mark. All right, we are 4.5 hours in, an hour and a half in the foil pan. It's time to check them, see how we're doing on tenderness. Ooh, those are looking good. Those are smelling really, really good. We're gonna check for some tenderness here. Oh, still needs more, I can already tell. It's getting more tender, but it needs more time. Yep, those are nice and hot, but they need a little more time. Looking 195. But I think we can take them out of here and get them back on the grill, get a little more color on them, and finish them up that way. So this is turning into a 3, 1.5, 1, or whatever amount of time we have left. Let's shake some of this ash off. I'm going to put our last little piece of post oak that we have ready here. And a couple more briquettes. We're going to finish this off with some nice post oak smoke, some nice heat at the end here. All right, I think we've got maybe 20, 30 minutes to go. Bring you back when we're ready to take these off. All right, we've got really good smoke rolling here still. It's been about half an hour, a little more. So we're at about 5 hours and 15 minutes here. I'm gonna give these a check. Oh, those just look beautiful. Oh yeah. We're ready. Get these off and get them inside and have a taste. So here are our boneless beef short ribs. And I know They look so strange right now, the way the light's hitting them, because they are just jet black with the coloring, the bark that was developed later on, and the sauce and everything that got into them and on them and glazed them. They just look and smell amazing. I'm gonna take one, cut it open, see what we've got inside. All right, so I picked one. This one looks good. I am just going to cut it right here. Oh, nice smoke ring. Oh, yes. Nice juice. Oh. All right, it is time to taste this. All right, here we go. Beef boneless short ribs. Now, boneless short ribs sometimes come from different parts, from what I understand. You have some that come off of the plate, some that come off of the chuck. So it's hard to tell unless the butcher tells you exactly or you ask. I didn't ask, but they're just boneless beef short ribs. Have a really nice smoke ring on this. Might be a little bit hard to see there. It did develop more of a bark than I thought it was going to. So here we go. First taste. That Desert Gold has a little bit of citrus in it according to the label, and you can pick up a little bit of a sweetness in this rub, in the background of it. It's not really up front. You're getting the normal salt, pepper, garlic, paprika, and things like that, but there's a little bit of sweetness. And I didn't doctor this up at all like I normally would with something like brown sugar. So you get just that hint of sweetness in there. I've got a really fatty piece here. And here's going to be some heresy for some people out there who've watched my other videos where I eat beef ribs or brisket or chuck roast. Sauce. People have told me if you have to put sauce on it, it can't be good. I'll put sauce on anything I want if I like sauce. That is a good delivery system for sauce. Those little fattier parts of the boneless beef rib are excellent. One more bite with sauce, and then I'll go back to the ribs without sauce. So total cook time was about 5 hours and 15 minutes to 5 hours and 30 minutes. I might have been off by a few minutes there. 3 hours straight just on the grill, about an hour and a half in the foil pan, and then about 45 minutes back on the grill with all those juices and glaze on the ribs from their time in the foil pan. Nice way to finish them off. Tightened up that bark a little bit more at the end there. One of the nice things about beef short ribs, when you get the meat off of it, it's almost a little brisket-like. You're cooking it in a similar method, just obviously not as long as a brisket, but you're getting some of that brisket texture and flavor. And if you have one of those juicy, fatty parts, really reminds you of the point. Oh boy, that was good. It's getting better the longer it sits here. And that post oak, awesome for this. I know it's good on beef. I've used oak on other things. I don't know that I've ever used post oak before. Really good on these ribs. Now, these were not the most inexpensive ribs. These were about $8 a pound. So, you know, these were about 3 pounds, $24. But for that cost, you get a good amount of just meat. No bone, nothing, just meat. So if you see these at your butcher or your grocery store or your big box store like Costco, which I mentioned earlier, sometimes they're in a cryovac pack and they're labeled as chuck short ribs, something like that. Give them a try. They're excellent. You treat them just like pork spare ribs or like short ribs with a bone. Give them that time to develop the tenderness on there and the flavor. Pick your favorite rub and your favorite sauce and go for it. Oh, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out some of the other videos on my channel and consider subscribing. And if you do, click that bell for notifications. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a great evening. I'll see you again soon.